Zooming is a crucial part to making a film. If tension is needed to be built, an easy way would be to zoom the camera into the subject. Almost every movie has at least one zoom in the film, but there's one type of zoom that isn't used very often. Let me start this off by saying the zoom cut doesn't exactly exist. At least I can't find anything talking about it. Because of this, I've decided to name it the zoom cut, since it combines both a zoom and a cut in the same motion. The zoom cut is entirely created in post. Usually what would happen is the cameraman would either dolly forward or use the camera to zoom forward to oftentimes get the effect of tension building. Instead, in the zoom cut, the camera doesn't actually move or zoom at all. What happens is that the editor takes a static shot and zooms it in post. This is kind of what the shot would look like. The shot creates a jarring and ugly look that most filmmakers don't want in their movies, but there are a few exceptions. The zoom cut goes against the basic principles of editing and camera work. Because of this, it isn't used very often and thus doesn't really exist on the internet, or so I know of. There are times when the zoom cut should and shouldn't be used, just like all edits in filmmaking. I find that the most effective usage of the cut is in horror movies. I think that the edit should be used only in a time when the tension is really high, otherwise it'll look blatantly ugly and will not have the same effect on the viewer. I've got a scale of a few movies that I managed to scavenge that use the zoom cut. Since the zoom cut doesn't exist online, I was unable to look up which movies contain the specific edit. So I just watched a bunch of movies in hopes of finding the zoom cut in them. I placed the examples that I found in order of effectiveness of the edit. On the left is ineffective and on the right is very effective.
In my forest. This ought to be fun. Come on. Hello, boys. Guess who?
Alright, so as you can see, the zoom cuts in this movie are atrocious. They are used sporadically and without intent. Honestly, I'm not even sure what the director was thinking when he made the conscious decision to have these zoom cuts in the movie. And the thing is that they're all over the movie. Every scene is plagued with this poorly done edit. And for pros, none. This is garbage.
Vielleicht spürt sie ja sogar, was wir von ihr wollen.
Sie spürt sehr viel. Man kann es in ihren Augen sehen.
Ich sehe es jede Nacht, wenn ich ihr unsere Träume schicke.
This one is better than the Woody the Woodpecker zoom cut, but still isn't the greatest. This edit kind of feels like a Bigfoot spotting, which makes it feel a bit cheesy and a tiny bit out of place. It is used in a horror movie, so I think it actually kind of does work in this scenario. It still adds to the tension of the scene and catches you off guard, which I think is a good thing for this movie.
De vill skilja oss åt. De vill låta mig få sig still. Så länge jag är med, det blir inget svårare. Johan, jag tänker inte springa min väg om jag igen försöker. Jag stannar det jag är. Jag stannar. Johan, svar mig.
I'd place this one at the same place as the zoom cut from Suspiria for the same reasons. It feels a bit out of place and maybe even a bit too jarring, but again, it is used in a horror movie, which works for this scenario. It helps add to the scariness and the tension for the scene and for the overall movie. There is also another one of these edits in Hour of the Wolf that will come a bit later. I'd say this one is pretty solid. It's kind of hard to catch, but it's between these two shots. It is possible that these are two different shots, and it's not actually a zoom cut, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it's one. One great thing about this cut is that it's used in the perfect scenario. There's no better time than being murdered in the shower to use this cut. I think this is the perfect usage of the zoom cut. This is the shot that made me realize that this edit exists. I think this fits in the perfect context since it's used in a horror movie, like previous examples. But also, it's used in a time of high tension, making the edit really heighten the pressure in the scene. Along with this, I think the ugliness and uncomfortableness of the shot is perfect under this context. If used correctly, this shot will be absolutely bone-chilling. If used incorrectly, you'll be questioning what drugs the editor was on. This edit really only works in horror movies, but I think it'd be very cool to see this shot used in a different genre and pull it off.
Tänk så roligt att ni ville komma.